Welcome back to the Friday Night Sports Show, and we take a look at the River Murray Netball Association with our River Murray correspondent, Hannah Loller. How are you, Hannah?
Yeah, great, Dan. And I hear you've been out and about wandering through some of our association towns on your way to Speed.
I certainly have. I drove past the Mallee Storm girls training on what looked like a pretty cold night last night. Well, not too cold considering how much colder it has been, but nevertheless, yeah, Wayne pointed them out to me and gave me the full guided tour of all the regions. So, yeah, it was good to see that. Yeah, it looked like they were training hard and getting ready for the run home towards finals.
Yeah, training on a bye week. They're dedicated and determined, the Storm.
Absolutely. They are locked in, and you're right, they're on a bye week this week, but they did play last week, and unfortunately they had a loss to Mypo, 45-33, but given that Mypo have only had one loss for the whole season, not really a bad result for the Mallee Storm.
No, I think the Storm will be pretty happy with that. It was a great even contest. At halftime, the scores were level, so they held Mypo. It was a great match. Kiara Pake for centre for Storm had a great battle with Kelly Altman through the middle. And I think what's really interesting for Storm is they've been able to. So I spoke about it last week. Tennille Gray has come out to join them, but also local girl Lily Weckett. Premier League's wrapped up in town. And Lily's Metro Jets aren't in the final series, so she's another addition. And so with a 12-goal margin, they'll be happy. And I think what's really interesting is, midway through the season, they had 7 on court and didn't have much of a bench to pick from. And I think they're going to come to the nice situation in the back end of the season where the coach is going to have to make some tough decisions on who to have on the court, which is a lot nicer than worrying about an injury and who will take the court. So, yeah, Storm will be happy, but Mypo with the win.
All right, good win by Mypo there on their home deck. And in our next game, it was Jervois getting a win over the Coorong Cats, 48-32. We had this flagged as one that the Coorong Cats could get another win. I think they beat them earlier in the season, but it was Jervois coming out on top this time.
They did, and I think it's probably more reflective, this result, of the teams throughout the whole season. The game was played at Tintinara. Jervois' Christine Wheater, she's a fabulous shooter. She had a really good match for Jervois. Courtney Afford, as always, runs a good centre. She went up against Holly Hughes, who played well. And Taylor Francis in goal defence had a good game for the Cats, but Jervois too good for them in this occasion.
All right, and on to our next game. The Southern Suns had a pretty easy win over the Ramblers, 60-39. So the Southern Suns staying in touch with fourth position there, or staying in fourth position, and doing just that little bit extra to lock in a final spot.
Yeah, and I think a good match, reasonably even, even enough, but Suns just each quarter pulled away. So I think a really interesting matchup in this game was two tools. There was young Layla Hearn at Ramblers and Beck Oakley, who's got a daughter not a dissimilar age to Layla. So, you've got age and experience on the court and youth. And both of these teams, Ramblers and Suns, do that well. They use a mix of experience and youth. So, but in this case, Muriel Walters' Suns were too strong. Taylor Davenant played a great match in centre and then went into defence. Layla Hearn played a good match for Ramblers.
And our last match of round 14, and this was an interesting one. The Imperials had a 10-goal win over Mannum, 53-43, but considering the dominance the Imperials have shown for pretty much the whole season, just the one loss for the year, Mannum must be pretty happy with that effort. Must give them a bit of confidence as we head towards finals that they can keep it up with those top teams.
Yeah, I think we predicted last week, the time before they'd met was a 20-goal match, and we thought it might be a bit tighter, but to have that, Mannum would have been really happy. I believe it was a really tight contest, and maybe Mannum had a bit of a extra spring in their step because they were celebrating Kelly McGorman one of their cherished players had her 300th game for Mannum. And 300 games is an amazing achievement from anyone, and Kelly's done that at the highest level. So she's played A grade, taken out association, best and fairest continuously. So the team obviously put their all on the court. Not quite enough, but 10 goals to Imps is a tidy margin, and they'll be happy because they're very close to locking in their position into finals as well.
Yes, well done to the Imps and well done to Kelly on game number 300. That certainly is a tremendous milestone, and you've got to have a lot of dedication and work very hard to hit that milestone. So well done to her. And it was Taylor Bend with the bye in round 14. They're back in action in round 15 and they're taking on Jervois. So 6v7 on the ladder here.
I think this is the match to watch for the week, just for, competitive tightness. Last time they played, Jervois got the win by a goal. I think for Taylor, Kendall Pickering is still out. She's got a wrist injury. I think it'll be a great battle of the centres, Courtney Afford and Tilly Hughes. They're both, they play a similar style of netball. They're both quick. They're both, red-headed with plenty of spring in their step. But off the court, they're both lovely, divine people as well. So that'll be a great battle to watch. I'm going to tip that Taylor might turn the tables on Jervois from their previous match, but I think the margin will be pretty tight.
All right, and this next game, certainly a red-hot contender for match of the round as well. The Southern Suns taking on Mypolonga at Lamoureux Sports Club netball courts. Who do you think will win this one? Mypo sitting higher on the ladder, but the Southern Suns needing every win they can get to hold off the Mallee Storm and lock in their final spot.
Yeah, they do need that. I think Mypo will travel and they'll travel well. I'm expecting a result not dissimilar to the last time they played, which was about 8 goals. So I don't think Suns will get the win that they'll be desperately looking for, but I think another win will come for them, hopefully, in the back end of the season still.
And on to our next game, and this one is shaping up as being a question of not who will win, but how much will they win by. It's the 12-1 Imperials against the 1-11 Coorong Cats.
Yeah, I think this will test the score seats that we have to use out of Play HQ. It did last time. It hit 97 goals for the match, which is a pretty impressive feat. Obviously, their shooters were on task that day. I think the result will probably be similar. And Cats will look to rebuild for next year.
All right, the Cats have got their work cut out for them there. We'll see what margin they can keep it to. And last game of the round, Mannum taking on the Ramblers.
Yeah, so last time these team met, there was a 5-goal difference. I'm expecting that might be a little bit more. And for Mannum, taking this win will cement their place in the finals. So they'll be really keen to do that, because if we look ahead a little bit, we've got Imps and Mypo locked in and away. Yeah, Mannum winning this one will lock them in. But after this, Mannum have to play Mypo, Storm and Suns. So it's a really tight back end for them, which will be fascinating netball. And then for the Suns, they're taking Mypo. They have Storm, Abai and Mannum. And then the back end for Storm is Abai, Suns, Mannum, and then you'd think a win with the Cats. So with only one game separating the Suns and Storm, next week's game between the Suns and Storm is looking like an absolute ripper. Mannum comes into play with playing both teams as well. So I don't think the season could get any more interesting with 4 rounds to go. And as an association with new teams, both of the new teams in the mix and competitive for finals at A grade, which is a huge credit to those clubs in coming into what's perceived to be a stronger association, but coming in and doing so well.
All right, 4 weeks to go and the competition is well and truly heating up, and it's good to hear that. We thought it must have been coming because the last few weeks there's been a lot of sort of top 4 teams playing bottom 4 teams and not too much difficulty in picking winners. So it's going to be really tight over these next few weeks, and I'm really looking forward to seeing who locks in those final spots and who wins those all-important games over the last 4 weeks. We'll leave it there, Hannah. Thank you very much for your time again today. Enjoy the netball this weekend, and we'll catch up again next week.
Yep, will do. Thanks, Jan. Bye.